Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with a familiar face if you've been watching Insider videos. It's Alberto Aliberti, who is the president of Atlas Ocean Voyages. And we've talked to Alberto a few times in the past. And in fact, they were just at a major press conference at Sea Trade earlier this month. And we're going to talk to him a little bit about where Atlas Ocean Voyages is today and some big news, actually, that happened last week. And this is Insider Travel Report. Now, Alberto, first of all, how are you and where are you?
Hi, James. We're doing well. Our Fort Lauderdale office is here running, and we're going full steam ahead.
No, and that's what you said. You mentioned at the press conference. Now, you did have some big news this past week when you announced the float out of your very first ship, the World Navigator, and the keel laying for the second, World Traveler. Can you give us an update on the timing of, again, when these two ships will join your fleet?
Absolutely. The World Navigator did float out just recently. In fact, it's being outfitted now up in Viana Castelo, Portugal. It's going to be on time. In fact, knock wood, it's going to be a touch early, so we're actually scheduling in another shakedown. It will be sailing for its first cruise July 17th, 2021. And then following that, launching in late July 2022, is going to be our second ship, World Traveler.
And then you have another 3 or 4 coming up after that. They're all kind of twin ships, right?
That's correct. The World Traveler, by the way, has already had the keel laid. In fact, there are a couple blocks already made. And the following 3 will come after that, 2 the following year and 1 the year after that.
So you're going to have very quickly a pretty major fleet of uxe-adventure expedition ships, right?
We will. Well, ultimately, as of right now, the plan is the 5. And then after the 5, hey, let's see what's going to happen after that.
Now, remind us about some of the features of World Navigator and its sister ships. How many passengers, cabins, restaurants, public areas?
World Navigator is an expedition-capable ship, polar-capable, because it will be sailing in Antarctica. It has the 98 cabins, most all of which have balcony, and of that, the 196 guests, that will only be sailing with 196 guests in what we call the warm water cruising. When we get down to Antarctica, we cut that number down to 186 guests to allow for more expedition leaders and scientists and experts in that area. It has, of course, a main restaurant, but the good thing about the main restaurant is it's slightly larger than the guest capacity. So it makes for a comfortable way that everyone can distance and still eat it comfortably. We have an alfresco dining area outside the restaurant, which we use, and it's very popular with the guests in the warmer climates. And we also have a cafe up on the top deck, pool deck, that we actually, in the World Navigator, are enhancing its capability to deliver food and beverage. So it's going to be more than just a pizza and hamburger cafe. We're actually now going to be able to do dinners up there, and we will be doing dinners up there. We have a small smoothie and snack cafe in the middle of the ship. My favorite room on the ship, and maybe I shouldn't say that when it's your baby, you're not supposed to have favorites, but my favorite room on the ship is our top deck observation lounge, which we call the Dome. It's 270 degrees of floor-to-ceiling glass, as well as a glass dome on the top of the room. It's a fantastic place to sit, to enjoy the scenery, and also on our ship, it's going to be kind of a center for late night entertainment. We have an auditorium, which is fantastic for using for not just the lecturing and for the academic pursuits, but it's also somewhere when we're in fun ports where we can use it for local entertainment coming on board, or even our crew staff will have some entertainment that they deliver on the main stage in the auditorium. And everything that's done in the auditorium will be simulcast into the rooms, as well as recorded and looped into the rooms for those who don't feel like showing up. We have a bar lounge. The bar lounge is another room which is made larger than the guest capacity. So again, it's very important for us in the design that there is a chance for social distancing. I will be frank, these designs were larger even before the situation we have right now. So it turned out fortuitous that now we have so much space. And Finally, we have the spa and well-being area. This has been enhanced also for World Navigator, more than our first two ships that are operating over in Europe. The spa and well-being area, which is going to be run by La Catan with their spa at sea, is now have enhanced training equipment, as well as enhanced deck space for things like Pilates or other self-training. And then the spa itself has a larger sauna area, as well as showering and shakedown area. So in general, we've benefited from the first two ships, which Mystic Cruises is running in Europe. They have fantastic ships out there, which are already proving popular with their market. And we've been able to make little tweaks to make ours more custom, more familiar with the North American market where we sell.
Now, I believe you also have some announcements coming up about your culinary. I know you're going to be working with some interesting people, but that's for another interview, I think, right?
Well, what I could say about the culinary right now is, yes, we will have announcements, is we are focusing on our local sailing areas. We will, by region, have culinary examples that will delve into the local tastes, the local popular ideas, but also giving them a little bit of an international, a little bit more of a gourmet flair.
Now, who is the target guest for your new product for Atlas Ocean? And we were talking about this the other day in the press conference. Someone asked, are you going to include families?
Well, I'll answer the second question first, and the answer is yes. We are absolutely going to include families. The owner of our company is a family man. Myself, I'm happy to have children too, and we are going to make this a multi-generational experience. We are going to be sailing to unique places where families will want to share together. The only caveat we put is that we are not going to have a children's program on board. So families traveling with us will have their family with them, be responsible for them. And then the other caveat is, in Antarctica, you must be 8 years old to cruise. The reason for that distinction is purely physical size, because they have to be safe in the Zodiac. As far as our market, we are a North American-based product. Our target is North American clients. Some people call the target client a top 2% client, but what we're looking for is experienced travelers who want a high luxury experience on board, as well as an entertaining and energetic experience ashore.
Now, what will the itineraries be for World Navigator, and initially, and when will the ship eventually get to Antarctica?
World Navigator, as well as the rest of our fleet, will seek to go to as many out-of-the-way destinations, as many less traveled destinations as possible. And that's because our guest bases are people who are well-traveled. A lot of our guests have been there, done that. So they're looking for something out of the way. Our first itineraries, which are showing after we cruised across the Mediterranean, are going to be the Black Sea. When we get to the Black Sea, we are actually doing an entire circumnavigation of the Black Sea, but that's being divided into two segments, so people could choose either way. We do have a number of people who have already signed up for the back-to-back. Then we're doing the Anatolian Peninsula off of Turkey, heading down to the Holy Lands. And we are going to spend a significant amount of time when we're in Israel. And that's because Israel has a lot of faces, and it also has a lot of pent-up demand for visiting Israel. So we're going to safely take our guests all across the country with 4 overnight stops in Israel. After that, we'll head down to the pyramids in Egypt, and we are going to do another loop of the Holy Land before heading back towards Antarctica. And after a nice crossing, which will end in Barbados, we're going to do northern, southern, South America en route to Antarctica. We'll get to Antarctica at the end of October, just in the beginning of November.
Well, it's interesting because, everyone thinks of expedition ships and everyone's going to Antarctica, but your ship's going to do a lot more in terms of, this expedition style cruising and some very unusual itineraries. I don't know too many cruise lines that do circumnavigations of the Black Sea, for instance, and a lot of time in Israel, which, that's kind of something that I think a lot of people will be interested in, those kind of itineraries, not just Antarctica.
And you point out an important thing, and you also point out why we distinguish ourselves as uxe-adventure. Expedition cruising is fantastic. For us, it's very popular. We're filling up our Antarctic itineraries. But a ship has other months than just those months down in Antarctica. So what we've decided to do is use the attributes of our small ship, our Zodiac landing craft, to get into small areas where we can take people ashore by Zodiac. We can experience these less traveled places so that some people who, for example, like to count ports, will be able to take them to some unique destinations where we're not being overshadowed, overcrowded by other cruise ships.
No, that's great. And in fact, you mentioned some of the itineraries. I've always wanted to go to Antarctica, but Black Sea is up there too, to be honest with you. And some of the more intensive focuses, like on Israel or Turkey, sound wonderful as well. And then you're just going to keep following a ship wherever it goes. I would suspect that you hopefully will get a lot of repeat business.
And I'm hoping so, because we are, for lack of another word, following the sun. And we're non-repeating itineraries. Even when we do the Holy Land twice, we're doing it in different flavors from different ports. We're doing some unique stops along the way. For example, when we go to Black Sea, we go a little bit further. We go into Kiev and actually visit Chernobyl, the site of the reactor disaster. Then when we get down to Israel, in addition to Israel, we're also going in and visiting Petra and giving those other more immersive land opportunities.
Yeah, well, actually, I have been to Chernobyl, so it is a marvelous tour. And to have you do that, it is an inland tour, but it is really a fascinating place to visit, and I'm glad to see you're doing that again. I don't know too many cruise lines that feature Chernobyl on their itineraries, so congratulations on that one. I'll look forward to that one. Now, when World Traveler comes in 22, will those itineraries for that ship be significantly different from World Navigator, or what kind of opportunities does it give you to have two ships at that point? Of course, you'll eventually have 5 ships, but what does that additional ship give you?
What we're able to do when we have the 2 ships is we're able to spend a little bit more time in the Arctic with one ship. We're able to spend a lot of time up in the Baltic and going up into the Norwegian fjords, whereas the other ship has an opportunity to go even further east into the Mediterranean and down into Suez and that area. So we'll be able to, during the warm months, to head out in those 2 different directions. When we come back towards Antarctica, we're also going to be able to differentiate, because we're going to be able to have a ship that's going to spend more time doing adventure itineraries in Central America, Costa Rica, the jungles, and do the Panama Canal. Whereas the other ship will be able to come down the eastern coast of South America, touch the Amazon, as well as some other smaller out-of-the-way ports.
No, that's wonderful. And again, as you get additional vessels, you'll be able to diversify even further. Let's talk about something that, you keep on sending out press releases about the latest all-inclusive thing on your ship. You have a program called All Inclusive All the Way. Just tell us a little bit about what is included for guests. I think you have some very unique inclusions, such as air, and we'll talk about emergency medical evacuation. And then also, what isn't included? I don't really know anything that isn't included, it sounds like.
Well, we try to take care of our guests, and that's why we call it all-inclusive all the way. As you mentioned, air is included as a part of all our cruises. It's not something we use for a offer or value-added sales technique. We include air with all of our cruises, and because the air is included into the bundle of the cruise, that makes it a commissionable item, because the guests will commission from that just as they do the rest of our elements. We do include tips, Wi-Fi. We also include, of course, drinks. And as you mentioned, we've just decided to include the emergency recovery insurance for all guests. And we did this because on a lot of cruise lines, when they go to Antarctica, for example, they require that the guest buy some sort of an emergency evacuation insurance in the case of an emergency or an accident. We've decided that we want our guests to cruise a little bit more comfortably with less to think about. And while, of course, safety is first in our minds, if something were to happen and the doctor on board decides that that person needs to be taken to a local hospital and then further to home, it's all covered in our emergency evacuation insurance.
No, that's great. I guess the only thing that might not be included is maybe spa treatments, right?
Spa treatments, select spa treatments, if you want to get, of course, a unique treatment, yes, those are not included. And again, things like that and some shore excursions are not included because we want to offer guests diversity, different options that they can take, because those are very personal decisions.
Well, one of the things you have is this new, you call it the Max Shore program, which offers 3 to 5 day overland trips as part of the cruise. Can you tell us about some of those programs? And also, are these for extra charge as well?
Max Shore are select tours that happen during embark, debark, the meeting of two different cruises. Mm-hmm. For example, I'd mentioned Black Sea. When the Black Sea cruises turn around in Odessa, there's a Max Shore program that operates from Bucharest to Kiev to Chernobyl back to Odessa for those guests who are on the back-to-back. When we do our back-to-back in Israel, there's a Max Shore that will do a pan-Israeli tour, 6 days, 5 nights, including Petra. These tours are included. We've just added 2 more Max Shore. When we connect and turn around in Istanbul, for the guests who are on both of those cruises, we're taking 2 Max Shore opportunities. Those are each 3 nights, and one of them is to Cappadocia, and the other is to Pamukkale, which are 2 famous areas, the areas of the White Salt Hills and the caves. Max Shore, again, are for the people who are taking the connecting cruises, are included.
Okay.
We've decided that for those guests who want to stay with us that long, this gives them an opportunity to go further afield, to spend the time which is going to be spent as a turnaround, and to enjoy it in a smaller group, and then return back to the ship. Almost like, I like to refer to it as stretching your legs in the middle of the cruise, getting out and really immersing. I have to say, however, the Max Shore has proven so popular that the Black Sea Max Shore has already sold out. Wow. So they are limited space. Now, in an option 2 Max Shore, when you do a back-to-back with us, all of the tours during that transition period, those couple nights in the turnaround port, are free to guests who are doing back-to-back.
No, that's great. And it sounds like a very unique program. I've heard of pre and post, but not middle in terms of, for the guests who are going to do 2 segments. It's great. And I know that Chernobyl's tour and the other tours sound wonderful as well. Now, I did ask at the press conference last week, where do you position Atlas Ocean Voyages as as you call it, a uxe-adventure expedition line? And also, who are your direct, indirect competitors, as you would see? And then finally, what is the price point compared with them?
It's fantastic because it's something we want the market to understand. We use the term uxe-adventure because we want to give the spirit of our onboard and ashore product, which is someone who wants top quality luxury onboard their ship experience. But when they go ashore, they want the options beyond the standard local tours, which of course we're going to offer because there's some people who've not been to those areas. But we also offer tours which maybe have just a little bit more edge to them. We position ourselves at a quality level on the same line as the other top quality all-inclusive cruise lines. Because we're new and because we're from a company which has a lot of other resources with our other brands over in Europe, we're able to price position ourselves slightly under those top priced cruise lines. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, we're priced slightly under, but we did, as you just mentioned, include some elements that they don't include. The experience is something like this. It's something like on board, you're in a private club. We are a more relaxed environment on board. We are a refined luxury, casual luxury. So that on board, you're going to feel like you're at your club. If you just raise your hand, your drink will be served in a crystal glass. You will have all the amenities that one would expect, high quality included wines and beverages across the board, as well as an upsell to a very high premium wine list. But on shore, what we offer is we offer the guests who've been there, done that, chances to do some different things in those areas. And for those who don't want to do those different things, we also offer standard local fare so that, for example, if you want to see Florence, if you want to see Rome or anything, we also offer those things.
No, it's great. It sounds like a very complete experience. And is there anything else you want to get out to our Travel Advisor viewers, and also remind us of the date that you are officially going to launch those cruises?
Well, what I want to get out to the Travel Advisor community is, first of all, that the Travel Advisor community is our most important way of distribution, and that we are always offering different incentives to our travel advisors. For example, like now we have what's called Get Paid Now, which is a $250 gift to a travel advisor just to make a booking. That's not a prepayment on commission. That's actually just a gift. The other thing I want to point out is that we don't sail until July of 2021. This is bringing us into the second half of the year, which is far along, so that the different challenges we have right now with onboard sanitation and things, we will look at being past. It'll give us time to make sure our ships and our systems are the most current that can be offered in the industry so that people can sail with confidence. This is important to us. And finally, these ships are the newest, greenest technology that will be sailing on the ocean. And that's important to us, as sustainability of our locations and of the cultures that we visit are a top priority for us.
Fantastic. Well, Alberto, I can't wait for this line. We're going to talk about it for a few more months, but to actually see it will be great. What it does, it sounds great, and I know you got great backing from your owners in Portugal, and it just sounds like this is going to be a wonderful product for travel advisors to sell, and they need one right now, to be honest with you, because cruising is not being sold right now, and very much. And so, although I understand that your bookings are actually doing pretty well.
We're very fortunate. In fact, we've had to expand our reservations department just recently because of demand. We, Atlas Ocean Voyages, are very bullish on the industry. We foresee great things. We foresee changes in this current environment, and that's why we're glad we're not sailing until Q3 of next year. We feel that there's going to be a pent-up demand in the travel community, and that smaller ships are going to become the vogue and more important as people choose to take their cruise vacations.
Well, Alberto, again, congratulations. We've talked a few times about this, and you're getting me pent-up demand right now. I tell you, it really sounds like a wonderful product, and we're looking forward to actually seeing it being realized next July. And again, thank you for taking the time again to speak with us and give us an update on what's going on with Atlas Ocean Voyages.
Thank you, James. It's absolutely our pleasure, and we look forward to having you out there.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.